Hey, welcome to another episode of Your Faith and Health Community. I'm your host, Pastor Jackie Jackson. And as always, on behalf of myself and our producer, Anita Alexander, we want to thank you very much for taking out time from your busy day to spend with us. And hopefully, prayerfully, we'll share some information with you that will improve your quality of life. Now, I skipped it the last time. I just don't want to skip it now with the vaccine being out and they're saying this new strand of the coronavirus is coming in from overseas. So you know that if you haven't gotten your health care, in other words, you haven't enrolled for health care, open enrollment for the marketplace has closed. Open enrollment for Medicare has closed. So I hope that you did what you needed to do to get that in, to make sure that you're insured today. You know, I'll be back with it. But I am so honored and thrilled today to have my sister, not my biological sister, but I love this woman so much since I met her that she's become my sister, Brenda Moss. We work together with Everytown for gun safety. She's a survivor. Her son he didn't lose his life. Let me change that. Her son was murdered by gun violence. And since that day, this woman has been a force to be reckoned with in terms of advocating for common sense gun laws, in terms of trying to make sure that your family and my family is safe. I don't want to really tell her story because it's her story to tell. I just wanted to give you just a brief bring in of her. And Brenda, thank you so much for being here. I'm honored, like I said, and really interested in people hearing your story because there's so many families, so many mothers and fathers, children, brothers and sisters who have had their family members' lives taken. They've been murdered by gun violence, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's someone in the community, whether it's the police. We are just seeing so much gun violence in our country. So welcome to the show. And I'm going to turn this over to you and let you tell people what you want them to know.
Thank you, my brother. I am honored to be here. I count it an honor to sit amongst with you on this show today to really tell my story. I am Brenda Moss. I am, as Pastor has said, I am part of the Everytown Survivor Network. And I volunteered with Moms Demand Action. So I want to tell you a little bit about my journey and how I got here. I'm not trying to downplay anything. I'm just telling you how I got here, and in hopes that if you look at the example that I bring today, that it will give you hope and that it will make you want to do more than what you're doing. My oldest son, Sean, he was 6'7", handsome, a smile that would attract many ladies, if I do say so myself. And Sean was born August 7th, 1980. He was shot and killed on August 26th, 2014. When you I got the knock on the door from the neighbor across the street. And I had been on the phone talking to someone, and I was fixing hamburgers, and I always knew that when I started cooking, one of them would show up. I have 3 sons, so I knew one of them would show up. And I heard this knock, and all I heard was, Sean has been shot, and you need to come. Well, in that moment, your mind slows down, and you're just trying to figure out what to do next, because it's not registering what that person said. And my mind was saying, maybe I heard her say Sean, and maybe I didn't. So my mind went to turn off the stove, find your key, and it was like as if I was in slow motion, but I wanted to move quicker, but I couldn't. So I finally got myself together enough to get in the car and drive to where she had told me that the incident had happened. And when I got there, I saw the ambulance leaving. And I wasn't sure if that was the ambulance for Sean or if it was for someone else. And the young lady ran to the car and she said, follow the ambulance to the hospital because that's where they're going. So I followed the ambulance to the hospital, and I go inside and I go up to the window and I say, I'm Brenda Moss. I'm Sean Moss' mother. I'm looking for my son. And they immediately said, we don't have a Sean Moss. And I said it again. I said, I just followed the ambulance in. I'm Brenda Moss. I'm Sean Moss' mother, and I need to see him. They said, we don't have a Sean Moss, and you need to step away from the window. So again, you're standing there and your mind is foggy and you're saying, I know I just followed the ambulance. I know that was my boy in the back of the ambulance. I just want to know if he's all right. So you go through the motions of not even bargaining with God. You just say, if he's shot, they're going to fix him up. I'm going to take him home and I'm going to take care of him. If he's paralyzed, I'll still take care of him. But what I cannot do is go back into that room and they tell me that my boy is gone. All of a sudden, the emergency room filled with people, and I couldn't even begin to tell you where they came from because my mind is still trying to figure out where's my boy. Even at 38 years old, he was still my boy. You're trying to figure out how you're going to cope with whatever's going to happen, but you always discount the fact that he may not come back. That's not even an option in my mind that he's not going to come back. So the nurse finally comes out and she says, you all can come back. So I'm looking around trying to figure out who is you all. Because you told me my boy wasn't here. You told me you didn't have him. So who is you all? And she just said, you all can come back. So I just stepped forward like, okay, well, if it's you all, let me go since ain't nobody else moving. And I'm still in my mind saying, I can do anything. I promise you, God, I can do it all. I can take care of him. I can patch him up. I can do whatever. I said, but what I cannot do is for you to tell me he's gone. I said, that's what I can't do. Went back there and I'm expecting the doctors to come out with blood all over him, with the surgical mask on, anything. But that's not how it happened. They walked out. There was no blood. There was no surgical mask, but the chaplain was there. And the doctor looks at us and he says, your son is gone. Now, mind you, my youngest son is there. We can't find my middle son. My youngest son is there. My niece is there. And someone else was there. And I'm thinking, and my youngest son loses it. He literally loses it. And I'm sitting there, what are you saying? And I say, well, we can go and see him. They said, no, you can't go see him because his body has now become a homicide. So you're telling me that my son is gone. I can't see him because you consider him evident and you're expecting me to be okay with it. So we move from the room where they tell us that Sean is gone and we move to where the detectives are. Now, the detectives want you to answer questions that I don't have answers to. Where was he? Who might have done this? And I'm saying to myself, my son is gone. Why are you asking me all of these questions? I don't have the answer. That's your job. Well, fast forward, when it comes time for the trial, I didn't know everything that I knew before we got to the trial. Number one, Sean was lured and set up by the young man that shot him. He did not want to kill Sean. That's not who he wanted to kill. He wanted to kill my middle son. And in the process of the trial going on, this young man writes me a letter and says, it's not his fault. It's not my fault your son is dead. It's your other son's fault. Because your other son, I owed your other son money, and it was between me and him. But Sean was the one that got killed. And he had told several people that one Moss was just as good as the other. And in his letter, he's saying, you got to understand how my mom feels. She's going to lose a son. No, it's not the same thing. I'm sorry. This is not the same thing. And second of all, I don't have to feel for your mother right now. That's not my job. You chose to do what you chose to do. It has nothing to do with your mother. You did this. We go to trial. I find out that he didn't shoot Sean one time. He didn't shoot him twice. And the first time he shot him in his back, and Sean fell down and said, okay, you win. It's enough. And he shot him again, and Sean fell down again. And after Sean was down on the ground, he stood over top of him and shot him 15 more times. So he shot Sean a total of 17 times. My question to the detective was this: what type of gun shoots 17 times? Because was used to, the Westerns where you got the little pistol and it shoots 6 times. I'm not aware of guns that shoot 17 times. And then my question was, where does your mind go that you would stand over top of someone and shoot them that many times? We go to court and they're talking and they get me to tell who Sean was or how he was or what he brought to the community. And the one thing that his son is now 18. His son said, when they ask you who he is, make sure you tell them that this man took my hero. Did I paint a beautiful picture of Sean like he never did anything wrong? No. Did I sit up there and act like, it was all good? No. I knew the lifestyle that Sean led sometimes. But what I was there to do was to say, you had no right to take his life, no matter what lifestyle he was leading. We go in and we finish talking and the judge gets ready to sentence him. And the whole time this young man is disrespectful in the courtroom. He's disrespectful to the sheriffs. He's disrespectful to the judge. He's disrespectful to the attorneys. He's turning around telling his family, oh, don't worry about it. I got this. I'm getting up out of this. But see, what he didn't know, that Sean had a praying mom. That's what he didn't know. What he didn't know was his mama knew what faith looked like, and she knew how to walk faith. What he didn't know was that his mom had been on her knees as she was talking to God and saying, listen, God, I don't care who did what. Get everybody that did it. Get everybody that's connected to it. That's what I don't care if it was his cousins, aunts, uncles, nephews. I want you to get everybody that's connected to killing my son. See, he didn't know who Sean's mama was. And I walked my faith walk. Were there days that I dragged my feet? Yes. Were there days that tears ran down my face? Yes. Did I have to listen to people just saying, you're not saying enough, you're not mad enough, you're not loud enough? Yes. But I knew the prayer that I had prayed. And in that courtroom, when they got ready to sentence this young man, he stood up and the judge looked at him and said, I am 100% convinced that you're 100% evil. And if I allow you back out on the street, there is no doubt in my mind that you will do this again. So therefore, I sentence you to life plus 5 years. He turns around in the courtroom and says to Sean's lawyer, and if I had a gun, I would shoot you right now. He tells that to the lawyer, he tells that to the judge, and he tells that to Sean's family. But what I want you to understand is this. Once that judge laid down the sentencing, there was nothing else for me to talk about that young man. I don't hold conversation about what he did. I don't hold conversation about how he did it. I don't hold conversation. I give him no part of Sean's life. What I do now is I use my voice to speak on the behalf of my son, telling people we have got to stop this gun violence. We have got to set laws in place that change how felons get access to guns that they shouldn't have. We have got to set red flag laws in place where domestic violence takes place and the woman is more likely to be shot than the man. We have got to set laws in place that say, just for a little while, we're not taking away your gun. Just for a little while until we can sort this out, we're going to hold this for you. Please listen to me when I say this. I don't want your gun. I don't want your right. I want you to be responsible for the choice that you have made. Your Second Amendment right does not negate my right to live safe. And the Second Amendment right applies to me as well as it applies to you. It's not a separate thing. It doesn't
And
apply.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to make sure that we get in because we're going to run out of time. And I want to make sure because there's a lot of work that you do with your motivational as a motivational speaker, the programs that you just did, and we have like a couple of minutes. So I want to make sure that you tell people about that so they know even how to reach you. And Anita will put it up, but just tell them about that as well.
Yes, I am a life coach. I have a group on Facebook called Necessary Motivation Moments. You can find that under Brenda Moss. My very necessary coaching is an option that you can go with. I am a life coach. I will walk you through all of that. Again, I am part of Every Town Survivor Fellowship. You can reach me that way. You can reach me on Instagram at Godly Counsel, Brenda Moss on Facebook if you ever want to reach out to me. So yeah, that's how you can find me.
And the work and just you just did something, and I got to watch it on Facebook or see some of it, the pictures of the family smiling there in Virginia. Just talk about that for about a minute, just to tell people, because that was an awesome event.
Yes. One of the things that I have established is the Sean Moss Wellness and Growth Foundation. And one of the major projects that they do every year is called the Sean Moss Angel Tree. And this year we were able to host 8 families. And when I say host 8 families, we did everything from giving them food to having the kids shop in their own little area to giving them lunch to take home. We gave them gift cards. Every child got to shop for their parents. We adopted elves. We had 3 truckloads of gifts for these families because it is my purpose to make every family feel worth it.
And like I said, I saw the pictures, and the smiles on the kids and the families, right? Not just the children, but the parents, to see that part, and then to see some of the parents when they're sitting there and they're getting the gift from their child. I thought that was really powerful that God put that in your heart to do that for families at a time. And I'm not talking about now at Christmas. I'm talking about at a time when families are hurting financially, and with the healthcare issues and all of these things connected. When you think about it, for God to land that in your heart, but not just land it in your heart, but for you to take it and to do, I think it's a great legacy that has come on, and that God has given this thing to you. And I believe that sometimes God is saying, I took something away from you, and in exchange for that, I'm going to give you something that is going to be very powerful. Not the same as having your child or your mom or whoever back, in your case, your son, but I'm going to give you something that's going to be very powerful because you're going to bless my people. And we know that when you're blessing God's children, he opens. Just tell people a little bit about what that is, and why is it necessary? Why is it called necessary and all of that?
Sure. So I am a minister. I'm an evangelist. I don't do titles, but in order for me to explain that, I have to say that. I was ministering to a young lady, counseling her actually one night, and at the end of the session, she said, "You do know you're very necessary." And you hear it and you be like, "Yeah, that is so cute. Ain't that nice?" And she says, "No, you're very necessary." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." She said, "You don't get it. You're very necessary." And I said, "Okay, thank you." And the word necessary stuck in my head because we often hear words and think we know what they mean, but we don't necessarily know what they mean in that context. So I was led to study the word necessary. So what necessary means is I cannot be frustrated no matter the contrary. I am a must. I am an absolute. I am here to fulfill a need. I am very necessary. So I created the Facebook group as a way to do motivation every day. In the group, we don't allow sadness. You may be going through something. You tell us what it is. We figure out ways to bring you back up out of it. I don't do complaining. I don't do woe it's me. I very seldom have political stuff in the group. Everything is about motivation and getting you from where you are to where I know you can be. A perfect example is a young lady during the pandemic lost her job. And it's been over a year. And when she said she lost her job, I just went in and like, you got to keep going. You can't stop. She says, I don't know what to do. I said, do what you know to do. Don't settle. Just do what you know to do. Get up every day, making it happen. And for a while she stopped, and then we did a series on setting myself up for success. And she said, that means I got to get back out there. I said, that's what it means. You got to get back out there. Come on, we can do this. It's not over. Your job is just not here yet. It doesn't mean you're not going to get one. And just last week, she came back into the group and said that she got the exact job that she had wanted. So when we talk about motivation, we talk about moving you from where you are to somewhere better. I'm not asking you to forget your loved ones. I'm not asking you to act like it didn't happen. I'm asking you to honor them, because I find it hard to believe that you're honoring your loved one if you're sitting around sad, if you're sitting around moping, if you're sitting around complaining, if you're sitting around rehearsing the story over. I have to tell the story. I do, but I don't have to live in the story. So in this group, it's just motivation to get you. I tell people all the time, I had one of two choices. I could have laid down and died and stayed there, or I could get up and fight. I chose to get up and fight, because that's what my son knows me to be, as a fighter, as someone that knows how to survive, as someone that will make. He used to tell me all the time, Mom, you know how to make pennies out of dollars. And I did, because I had to learn how. My survivor instinct and my will to live comes from my mom, because she never gave us anything. She said, oh, you'll figure it out. You can do it. You can do it. And that's what she would say. And you would have to go and figure it out. When I said she gave you nothing, she gave you nothing except you.
So I want to thank you again, Brenda Moss, for being here. We want to thank you. I pray that you got some information that will change your life. But until the next time we're together, stay faithful, stay healthy.